Well, hey, everybody. Happy Sunday to you. Hope you're doing well. Getting ready to record Mike in the Midwest for this week. So let's do this. Here we go. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 252 of Mike in the Midwest, our mini podcast for the amazing patrons just like you of the Be Our Guest podcast. Of course, my name is Mike Rallman, host of the Be Our Guest podcast, which you can find everywhere you download great podcasts. And hope you always enjoy ours. And thank you so much for supporting the show each month on Patreon. It is sure appreciated, and hope you're having a great week and the show finds you well and summer is going well. And just getting excited. This time next week, we'll be getting on the Disney magic. That's going to be the topic of today's show. The anticipation is real. That's the title of today's show. And as you guys know, as you approach your next Disney trip, and this is the one I'm really excited for right now. My next trip isn't until marathon weekend, so I got a long stretch until the next trip till January. I mean, we could have one squeezed in there. Pam and I are talking about possibly squeezing one in there now that she's retired, but it is hard during football season with Mallory cheering, and we have football season tickets at Mizzou, so it is kind of hard to get away in the fall. But we're leaving the door open to a last minute kind of thing. We'll see, but super excited for this one because it's a podcast cruise. Podcast cruises are super special to me. We'll talk about that in a minute, but just top of the show. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're surviving the heat wave. I saw that our friends out in the Northeast, man, I saw like it was 98 in Boston the other day. It was like 100 degrees in New York City. Hang in there, guys. I will tell you, the heat wave broke yesterday here in Missouri, but it was so hot for so long. We finally got a little bit of rain yesterday and the heat wave broke a little bit. I mean, I actually had to put on a jacket to go last night at like 9:15 down to Dairy Queen in the Jeep because of course this time of year, I mean, if you follow me on social media, you know, the Jeep is bare. It doesn't have any doors, doesn't have any top, no windows. So it's just the body of the Jeep. So when we drive it at night, it's great because it's, you know, you get all the wind and it feels great. But when we go to Dairy Queen, which is less than a mile from our house, you go down a couple of valleys on the highway. And it is crazy that when you go down these valleys, the temperature drops like 10 degrees. Where we live, it you can totally feel it. Like the top, it's a little bit warmer. You go down the valley, it's a little bit cooler, and that's where the deer are. So you got to also watch for the deer jumping out. I know it totally sounds kind of crazy, but it's wild. So you gotta wear a jacket for the first time last night. So it was nice. It was finally like you're not sweating. Now the humidity's still crazy. I was just out walking Riley just a second ago. And while it's a little bit cooler, right now it says it's 75 and it's 10:15 in the morning, but it's still muggy as anything, which I just keep saying, getting me ready for the cruise, right? Because it's getting me ready for Florida, getting me ready for the Bahamas, Castaway Key, Lighthouse Point. It's going to be great. So I'm totally ready for to run on Castaway Key. Let's go. I can run in the humidity but I never run outside. I don't run outside. I walk, but we'll see. So hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully the cooler weather gets to you soon and you can enjoy your summer. I mean, can you believe it? We've made it to 4th of July week. Now, as a teacher, this always gave me like a kind of a morose feeling. And I'll tell you what, I'm super patriotic, have been ever since I was a little kid. I've always loved the 4th of July. And I think it's because of how I've just been brought up. I've talked about my grandpa on this show many times, my grandpa Rallman, my grandpa Charlie. That's his that's his 3-wood. If you ever look when I'm broadcasting here, I keep his 3-wood right here in the corner behind me in the studio. It's his persimmon. He was so proud of it. It was persimmon wood, 3-wood. It was his set of clubs, and we played every week over at Cloverleaf. He taught me a lot about life in those golf lessons and those golf 9 holes we walked over at Cloverleaf. Never got a cart. It was too expensive. We always walked. But you know, he cheated all the time too. He'd always fix his lie and He was a deacon at church, but he cheated at golf. But man, I love my grandpa. Couldn't, and man, driving across the bridge into Alton, Illinois, it was the skinniest bridge I think in the United States, and he had a big full size 150, and it was a 2-lane bridge going across the Mississippi River. Scared me to death as a kid. Every week, I'd start getting nervous every night before. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, about the 4th of July. My grandpa loved the 4th of July too, and I think he passed that on to me. Like, so I've told you many times, my grandpa was a cement mason and my dad was a cement mason. He passed that on to my dad. They both worked in concrete, putting in driveways and basements and anywhere you needed concrete, like curbs and stuff like that. But when I was a kid, when I was younger, St. Louis was a big time city. Like downtown St. Louis was a big, I mean, like it was a big time city in the United States in like the 80s. Now, St. Louis is no longer considered a big tourist destination. Like we don't downtown. I mean, I'll be honest, downtown St. Louis right now is a mess. Like we lost the St. Louis Rams football team. We have a dome where they used to play, but it's kind of a wreck. You know, we have the Battlehawks, which is a UFL team, which isn't, you know, great. It's kind of a second tier team. We still have the Cardinals, which is great. Busch Stadium's awesome. We have the Blues, which are nice. But in the 80s, like downtown was a huge deal nationally. And we had something called the VP Fair. And so the VP Fair was, and I don't think I'm blowing this out of proportion because, and you can Google it. It was called the VP Fair, like V like Victor, P like Pooh. You can, it was a huge deal. I mean, I want to say it was like in the top 3 things in the entire country for the 4th of July. And it was this festival they put on under the arch every year. And it went for like 2 or 3 days. It wasn't just a 1-day deal. And you would go down there and they would have an air show every day with, you know, like F-15s. Because remember, in St. Louis, we have, back when I was a kid, we had McDonnell Douglas. Now it's Boeing. But we still build fighter jets in St. Louis. And before that, McDonnell Douglas built a lot of the spacecraft for the Apollo, Mercury, and Gemini programs. They were actually built, that part of the Apollo program was built in the school district where I taught. Ferguson Florissant School District had, like, that part of the assembly plant was in our school district. And we're really proud of that. In our school district, we had a logo, and the logo had kind of a spacey look because of that. Nobody even knew that. I did research into that, and that was something I found out. Anyway, we had this big festival at the 4th of July called the VP Fair, and my grandpa loved it. My grandpa would drag us down to the VP Fair, and I'm telling you what, it would be hundreds of thousands of people down along the river, and it was packed. I mean, just packed. And so, but it was great. Like they called it America's birthday party. I remember this because there would be commercials on TV. And back then, all the TV stations, like because we had, you know, your local TV stations, Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 5, they would all do their newscasts from the VP Fair that, you know, those few days. They'd have, you know, local sets set up. And so if you watch the news from home, you would see your local anchors doing their, you know, news broadcasts, and the weathermen and all that would be, you know, broadcasting from right there on the river. And it was so cool. And you had this sense of pride of St. Louis, of your town. And it was really neat. But the thing was, they had the best ever fireworks show. I mean, because they shot them off of barges on the river, kind of over on the eastern side, over the Illinois side. And you'd watch them from, you know, under the arch, you know, on the St. Louis side. And it was just gorgeous because, you know, they were so loud. They would echo off the tall buildings in downtown St. Louis. They just echo, and they would reflect off that stainless steel arch. And it was just amazing. I mean, we'd do this every year. And the thing was, we would go down. I just remember Grandpa would take us down there. My dad would go with us too. And you would stay down there all day because they had, you know, funnel cake stands. They had corn dog stands. They had, my dad was I've talked about this. My dad still plays drums at his church. He's always been a musician, and they had like big acts, you know, that would come in, and they had this big stage. And so, you know, my dad was a country music fan and still is. And like, I think like Mac Davis came one year, you know, all these artists of the 80s or whatever. So they would just take turns playing on this stage. And at night, they'd always have like the biggest performer would play at night right before the fireworks. But then, they would, like I said, they had air shows all day. So like they would have, like littler planes in the midday, but then closer to like not, they didn't have any air shows when it got closer to dark, but they always wrap up with the military planes. And I remember the coolest thing I ever saw as a kid at the VP fair, one of the military air shows, they brought in a Harrier. Now, if you don't know what a Harrier is, this Harrier, it's the plane that hovers. It's a military jet that it can take off vertically. And so it came in like and just slowed down and just basically, so my grandpa he knew it was coming this year. My grandpa, he was into this, right? So he got us down. I mean, we were right on the river because this was the 80s. Like they didn't have a whole lot of rules. So we were standing basically, I mean, we were in front of the arch, like we were right almost to the water. So we were like, I mean, as close as you could get. And we were right there in this Harrier. So we watch all the other, there's all these other, the air show goes for like 2 hours. The F-15s fly by in formation. They're doing barrel rolls and going vertical. I mean, it was amazing. Like it was unreal. And as a kid, I'm freaking out because I'm a nervous Nelly. I was always scared that they were going to hit the arch because the arch is real, dude. It's 630 feet tall. Fun fact, it's 630 feet tall and it's also 630 feet between the legs, same distance. But it's like a big wicket. Like it's dangerous because these things are whizzing past. They're going over the river, but it's not like that arch is just like, it's just dangerous right there. It's so close. Anyway, this Harrier comes in and I don't know if you've ever seen a Harrier in person. It's the loudest machine you will ever hear. This thing screams. It is so loud. Well, it comes in over the Mississippi River. And then, so it's coming in, parallel to the river, right? So the nose of the plane, it's coming down the river. So it's coming south down the river. It's coming from the north to the south. And then it's just slowing down. I mean, I'm like, how is this? As a kid, you don't understand, like, right? Like planes have to go a certain speed to stay in the air, right? I mean, they will fall out of the sky if they don't, but this plane does not. It's coming in and it is slowing down. It is slowing down. It's slowing down, slowing down, slowing down, slowing down. It gets to where it is dead center of the arch and just stops. And then it basically does like a 90-degree turn and turns to the crowd and just points like between the two legs of the arch and just points at the crowd and just sits there. It was the most menacing looking military jet I just remember, and it just sat there and just looked at all of us. Like, I mean, I'm personifying a military plane. And this thing is so loud in like the river, the water under because it's, the down thrust to keep it up in the air. I mean, like the water was just rippling, like it was just ripping up the Mississippi River under it. And it just sat there and then it kind of like did almost like a little bow. And I mean, this thing is just screaming and it came down a little bit, then it went up a little bit. Then it did a whole like 360-degree circle. Then it raised up a little bit. And that thing just took off and just blasted out there. I was like, oh my God. Like I couldn't believe it. It was one of the craziest things I ever saw. So I've always loved the 4th of July because I think it's cool to see stuff like that. And of course, it translates into fireworks. And of course you see the fireworks. And then back then at first it was just the fireworks. They didn't have, the music. I remember the first year that they said, oh, bring your Walkman, your portable radio. I don't even know if it was a Walkman yet, but bring your portable radio and you can tune into radio station KMOX at, 11:20 a.m. And then they are going to simulcast some music that will synchronize with the show. And then it'll make it take it to another level. And I thought, oh my gosh, that is going to be the coolest. So I do love the 4th of July. I'm just a fan. So I get excited for the 4th of July weekend. I mean, now we stay home, like we're staying home this year. We're going to have an event, not an event. We're just getting together with family. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law live about a half a mile from us. And so we're going over there. We're celebrating some of the birthdays in the family. We have a few birthdays in the month of July. We're doing all the birthdays during the 4th of July. My brother-in-law usually goes and buys a whole bunch of fireworks because they are legal in our county. So we'll shoot off a bunch of fireworks and hopefully keep all of our digits and light them and run is what we say, and have a good old time. And it won't be as good as the old VP fair. And the thing is, like, they don't do that anymore downtown, or they've done it over the past 10 years. They've done it, then they've not. Then they've done it, then they've not. They've moved it like to Forest Park. They've done it at the river, then they've not done it at all. And I get it. St. Louis is not the big town that it used to be. There's budgetary concerns. There's more violence downtown. I mean, it's not, we're not like a top 3 city like maybe we used to be back in the 80s. But man, for me, like, I look back on that and it's kind of sad because those were great memories. But also in those days, it was just different. Like Union Station back then, I remember going down there and there was actually a big mall in Union Station. And like, we used to go down there and buy fudge, and like, you didn't just buy fudge, but like the people who made the fudge like sang and rapped and stuff like that. Those are some of my greatest memories. Dennis might know this if he was in St. Louis at that time. We had a whole mall downtown. It was called St. Louis Center. It was like 4 stories tall. It was the greatest mall, but it was right in the dead center of urban St. Louis, and it just didn't make it. And it was just like a golden era there for like 5 or 6 years, and just didn't make it. But but the VP Fair, man, I don't know, something about the 4th of July and like fireworks, and I love like John Philip Sousa music. I heard some John Philip Sousa music on the news this morning. I don't know. They were doing a commercial where you can text a number on the news this morning. You can text this number, like you text the word fireworks to this number on the news, and they'll tell you where around town has the best fireworks. Ellisville, Baldwin, Weldon Spring, when everybody's shooting off their community fireworks. But in the background, they played do 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 do, and I'm like, oh man, I love that. Like, I don't know, it gets me excited because I love our country. Our country isn't perfect, but I do love our country, so it makes me excited. I like history. I used to love teaching history. It was one of the things I liked as a teacher. Anyway, hopefully you're having a great start to your 4th of July weekend. You get your flag out there maybe, and I don't know. Do you guys buy fireworks where you're from? Can you get them? I mean, I'll tell you, I've told you many times if you watch my Instagram or in the clubhouse, we have at least 5 firework stands within a mile of us. We have 2 right across the street from our subdivision. We have the Powder Monkey. I mean, it is dead across the street. It's less than a quarter of a mile from where I'm sitting right here. And there's one a 1/10 of a mile from that one. That's Discount Dave, who's right next to it. They're just everywhere. And right now they're buy 4, get 1 free. I don't know what kind you got to buy to get that deal, but pretty cheap. So, but I'm not buying any because Andy will buy them all and we'll shoot them off. And then we have to leave for the airport at 4 a.m. the next on Saturday to go down for the Splitsville meet on Saturday. So it's going to be fun. Anyway, that's what's going on around here. Excited for the 4th of July. Hope you are too. And I hope you had some memories like that as a kid. I don't know if you guys had like any big festivals in your town. Like I had many like little fluorescent ones, like where I grew up, and those were fun too. But I had a couple of years where the VP Fair, the big one downtown, right on the river, right under the arch. Those were good times too. All right. Feedback from last week's show about how, we had the extreme heat warning last week. In the 80s, it was just hot, but who knows? Dennis, speaking of Dennis, our good friend down in Texas, says we spent all day at the Bluebird Park public pool. That's a lot. In Ellisville growing up. That's how we beat the heat. Sometime in the middle of the afternoon, we would head home and wait for the sun to start to go down. And then all the kids on the block would come out and play until it got dark. Even then, we might hang out to catch fireflies or play something like flashlight tag, as long as our parents would let us. Yes. So his pool was the Bluebird Park public pool in Ellisville, which Ellisville's right. Kind of, it's not very far from us, like 10 minutes from where I am right now. We had Bangert Park in Florissant. That's where we were. And I will say, I always get excited when I see my first firefly. I call them lightning bugs. What do you call them where you guys are from? Let me know, because Dennis just referred to it as a firefly. I've always called them lightning bugs. I saw my first lightning bug of 2025 last night. I saw it, though. This is the first time I've ever seen it this way. It hit my windshield coming back from Dairy Queen. We were busting back from Dairy Queen with I had my brownie cupfection, and Pam had her Blizzard. And It boom, right onto the windshield. And I had a glowing little spot right in the middle of my windshield. I said, well, Pam, look, first lightning bug of the year. Usually I see it when I'm walking Riley at night, but didn't see it then. Dennis continues. Also, we had a basement that always stayed kind of cool. It had a sliding door that opened to the backyard. That's what we have here. It was a great place to escape from the heat and play Atari or Nintendo when it got really hot. We had a lot of box fans that my parents would set up around the house to keep the air moving. In fact, when I think back to the house that I grew up in, the box fan hum is a part of that memory. Absolutely. It's those sounds too, the smells, the sounds that, because you mentioned the box fan hum, Dennis. I can totally hear the attic fan hum because it was like, I don't know if like, I guess it was hard to get up there, maybe oil it, but our attic fan, because we had an attic fan, and there was like a squeak to the belt. There was a belt in that attic fan, and it had this slight squeak, but it must have had it for years. Every time we turned it on, because remember the attic fan wasn't on all year. It would only be on from say, I would guess like June till September. So it wasn't like a full year thing. So maybe my dad was like, we can just deal with it for a few months and then, go away, forget about it. But it'd be like when it was on, it would just be like, but now that you say that, I could exactly hear the sound that thing made. It wasn't silent. It had this little high pitched squeak to it. It sang. It was like a sound of summer. But it was, God, that's so funny. You just brought that totally right back to me. I love the show because your comments bring so many memories back to me. I appreciate that, Dennis. That's awesome. Trisha also says, well, I'll be seeing you in a week. I've had my fill of Jeep tops. Hubby wanted to take the hard top off, which sounds simpler than a soft top, but the thing is heavy and awkward to remove, especially since he has a Gladiator, the Jeep for truck. Those things look cool. I go back and forth whether I want one. I love just regular two-door Jeep Wranglers, but those things look pretty tough. And I will tell you, okay, quick story about this. Pam and I fought the top on my Jeep for 4 nights during the heat wave. I don't know if I told you this. Still is not on my Jeep. It's partially on. And then I put it on and then piece fell off and we just totally lost it. Like, we have fought this thing and fought this thing. We got to the springs. We got to the sealer. I mean, we've watched so many YouTube videos of people putting tops on Jeeps. I mean, we did everything. We followed the instructions, to the letter. I mean, we both have master's degrees plus 45 hours. Like we could have gone on to our doctorate. Like, we are educated people. But that just means we're not good at stuff like this. That just proves that. So in order that we stay married and that we don't kill each other, because and God bless Pam that she's out there doing this, because this is not her bailiwick, right? This is not her thing. She didn't sign up for that. But we're out there. She's standing on the seats, like in the Jeep, the top's down. She's like, we're both got the screw guns, we're trying to do this. There's 27 screws across the front of this thing to undo that. I know it because we've done them 100 times to get the thing on and off. You know what? Last, like I think about 5 days ago, we finally just said, we are done with this. And Pam is a researcher and she found a place in town that is like a Jeep customation company. Like, they put like the big tires on Jeeps and jack them up and get them for like off-roading. And Pam called them and just said, look, we have the top. We have the windows. We have everything we need. We can't get this top on this Jeep. So tomorrow I have an appointment first thing in the morning to take it over there, and they're going to put it on there for us. Yeah, we have to pay, but at least I'll have a top on that stays on at highway speeds and doesn't leak. So eventually you just got to say, you can't do it. So, man, we tried for 4 nights. And here's the thing. When I bought this thing online, it said installation. There's a scale of 1 to 4, how difficult it is. This was a 2 out of 4. And it said it takes 1.5 hours. Bull. I'm just saying. Bull. I mean, I don't know who, like, Jedi like we can do this, but no. Anyway, back to Trisha. She says, I too grew up without any air conditioning. If we wanted to escape the heat, we would head to the basement or to the local pond. That's right. My town didn't have a community pool. When I moved before the start of high school, I was gifted with central air and a community pool within walking distance. Holy smokes. No community pool. Man, a pond. Trisha, you'll love the cruise because there's lots of pools. That's going to be fun. That's why you like Walt Disney World so much. I love it. That's awesome. And air. Oh my gosh. So if you have comments on this show or any other show, please leave them at patreon.com/be our guest podcast. All right. Fighting a sneeze there. All right. So today's topic is going to be, as you can see the title of the show, the anticipation is real because at this time right now, next week, this is one of my favorite times ever, because there are some small things about cruising that I love more than anything else. It's not even necessarily like, trust me, one of my favorite things I like about cruising is like Palo Brunch. That's my favorite. Palo Brunch is always my best meal every year. By far. It beats Texas Roadhouse. I'm not joking. It beats El Azteca. Not joking. Palo Brunch is the best. I love it. Doesn't take much to please this simple guy. But here's the thing. There are so many little things that I get joy out of on a Disney cruise. And I just want to throw a few of these out there to see if they resonate with you and also get your feedback. If you've been on a cruise, and then Trisha by next week will have been on a Disney cruise, that she can give feedback in a couple weeks and see what are some of the things that stood out to her. Because everybody has different little things that stand out to them with cruising, and especially a Disney cruise. One for me, and it gets me every single time, is the ride to Port Canaveral. I love the ride to Port Canaveral from Walt Disney World. I always stay at Walt Disney World the night before. And to me, I think it's just the right distance. It's like 45 minutes or so. And I typically take these cruises, probably more than half of them I take with like Scott's family or, friends and stuff. And even if I don't, it's, it's with my family. And it's that anticipation, right? It takes a little bit of a buildup. It's not immediate because you get into I've never taken Disney Cruise Line transfers. We've always taken like a van or a limo or some kind of fun transportation. And so you get picked up at Walt Disney World. This time we're staying at the Boardwalk. I've stayed at Coronado. I've stayed at wherever, Old West. But, you get up that morning, like when you get up that morning, you're going on a cruise. You're like, oh my gosh, this is the best day ever. I'm going on a cruise. Like you cannot be sad. Like you are going on a cruise that morning. I get up first thing that morning. I get on portcanaveralwebcam.com. Boom. I look at it and I see my ship is sitting there. I'm getting on that ship today. I look at the app and I see that I have 0 days left. Just boom. It's like, I've been waiting on, like, it's been triple digits. It's been like 300 days. Nope. It is 0 days. It is happening today. You can now wipe the smile off my face. I am so happy. And I'm sailing with my people I love, like my family, my friends, and a podcast cruise. I just know it's going to be fun because I'm going to see like old friends, new friends, and we're just going to have the best time for 5 days. 5 days. I don't have to send emails. I don't have to do anything but have fun. And so I'm super pumped for that. In the ride, like I said, the ride over to Canaveral it's exciting because I've done it so many times at this point. I think this is my 18th cruise. Been very lucky. But like, I know, like when I see those nuclear reactor cooling towers, I know we're almost there. Like I got my indicators, right? I know like, ooh, we're almost there. Like we're 50 minutes away. But the thing that gets me is like when you start to go over the humps, over the causeways, in that first peak, when you see the red stacks on the Disney Cruise Line ship. That's and I always play that with the girls, like who's going to see the cruise ship first? Who's going to see the cruise ship first? And you see, I mean, that's when everybody starts to lose their mind. Like when you can first see the ship from the vehicle, oh, it's the best. Or when you first see the water, when you first see the water too, before you even see the ship, and you can see the VAB, the Vehicle Assembly Building over at NASA. I mean, it's just like the anticipation builds and builds and builds. And then you see, you got your exit for Disney Cruise Line at the terminal at Port Canaveral. And then you come around the corner and you get to see the aft of the ship. You see the character for whatever ship you're sailing that day. And you see it hanging off the back and you can take a picture and then you pull in. Oh my gosh. And the porters are there. And oh my God, the whole build up, you're there. It's like it's happening. So I love that. Then I love the anticipation of you got to go through all the rigmarole of going into there, getting, your documents in order and all that. That's not very exciting. Once you get through there, though, like going up the escalator into Port Canaveral, into the terminal, and then once you get to the top of the escalator and it opens up and you just see like, oh my gosh, like I'm in the terminal, and you can see the big ears that you're gonna walk under in a minute to go onto the ship. Yeah, and you got the cast members with the big gloves. You got the model of the ship where you can get your picture taken. Let's go. Like that's when it just starts like, oh, now you're getting even more excited. It's like, you got to contain yourself because you got to play it cool, right? Because you just got to be cool. But on the inside, like I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. Like, let's go. And so you're there and you're just dying for them to call your boarding group number. But I will say another small thing that gets me amped up. It's just that sound. It's the particular sound that Disney Cruise Line will use to call the boarding groups. And then throughout the cruise, it's that sound they use to make announcements on board that when you wish upon a sound, like noise or sound they use, do, 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 do. They play that before any announcements. When I hear that for the first time, dude, that hits like a brick. I'm like, let's go. The first time you hear it, it's like, I'm home. It's so good. Because I mean, you'll hear it and it'll kind of become second nature throughout the cruise after 5 days, right? It's just like, okay, that's the sound. The captain's coming on, the cruise director's coming on. They're going to tell us something. But the first time you hear it when you're in the terminal, you're like, oh, yeah. This is good. And so the first time you hear that, that's real. So you hear that. Then when you get announced onto the ship and you get the first glance at your atrium and you're like, when you make that merge from basically like what would be your jetway onto the ship, like vacation has really started then because you're on the ship. Like you are no longer on land, you are on the cruise ship. You have made it to the cruise ship. They've announced your name, you're there. Let's go. So then you get there. That's an awesome moment. The stateroom reveal is always fun. I don't want this show to go super long because I could just talk forever on this topic. I love seeing my stateroom, like getting in there, seeing what my Castaway Club gift is. Just seeing what I know what my stateroom's gonna look like. I've seen mock-ups of it. I've seen videos. I've had similar staterooms on similar ships, but just like when it's yours, like this is the one I'll be in for the next 5 nights. I love that. I love meeting my serving team for the first time because, it's a wild card. Who are they going to be? Like, where are they going to be from? What are they going to be like? What are we going to get along? Are we going to, jive together? We always do, but that's always fun. One of the things I really like, this is so weird. This is such a weird thing. Totally weird thing. I love seeing the fake wood deck of deck 9 on the Magic and the Wonder, deck 11 on the other ships. I love that like fake brown, like rubbery wood. I don't know. Something about that is like, oh, I'm on a cruise ship. I love that. I love seeing that. And just like I just like being on the cruise ship, like the sounds, the smells, everybody just seems happy on a cruise ship. Like there's kind of a chaos to like embarkation day. Everybody's moving around. Everybody's trying to get their lunch. Everybody's trying to check out the pools. Everybody's trying to check out the spas. Everybody's trying to check out the rooms. But there's such a real excitement from say noon to 3 before the muster drill on embarkation day. Everybody's amped up. Everybody's a little, everybody's trying to get stuff done, but everybody's super pumped because the entire cruise is in front of you. But those are just a few of the things that like get me excited. That sound, because you're still in port. You haven't even left, right? You haven't even had your sail away party yet. You haven't. Maybe you've had your first like drink of the day, but maybe not. And I usually save that to the sail away party. I don't drink yet. I get a drink of the day for the sail away party, and then we go to dinner or go to the show. Um, but it's just that you're finally on the ship. Like you don't have to worry about logistics anymore. Like you don't have to any longer have to worry about, oh, do I have my travel documents? Oh, did I pack everything correct? It's over at this point. Like what you packed, you packed. You're good. You're on the ship. Your travel documents, you're cleared. You're gonna sail. Everything's good at this point. We're ready to rock. The only thing you have to worry about at this point, because you're on the ship, is just having a good time for the next 5 days. It's the best feeling in the world. So the anticipation is real. So at this point, it's the Sunday before the cruise. We got 7 days. It's the longest week at this point, but it's also this week where I enjoy this week. This week's hard to get through, right? Because I got to work until Saturday, and then Ben takes over for me. God bless Ben. He takes over for me and covers while I'm gone. But it's not a hard week because this is that week where I'm just happy because I know it's going to happen. Like I'm just amped up. And this whole week, I'm like, this time next week, I will be. This time next week, I will be. And I kind of like that feeling. It's a blessed feeling. So it gets me excited. So I wonder if you guys do the same. So let me know. And we'll share that next week. I'll try to put out another show. I'll try to do another Mike in the Midwest early this week. So it'll make up for the one while we're out at sea next week. But hope you're having a great week. Hope you have a great 4th of July on Friday. If you shoot off the fireworks, be careful, light them and run and enjoy. We have a great country. It's not perfect, but we do have a great country and we get to do cool stuff like this. And I appreciate y'all. So anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I appreciate each and every one of you. Just glad we're friends and can't wait to talk to you soon. So until then, we have a live show tonight. We won't have one next Sunday, so be there tonight. Scott's going to join me. We'll take your calls. So join us at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. So until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.